Hi guys, in last video we discussed about the concept of the while loop. Along with that, we had done the multiple practice questions on the while loop. In this particular video, we will be discussing one more important concept of C++, that is the do while loop in C++ programming. Along with that, we are also going to do some practice questions on the do while loop. So let's start this video. Here, the topic for discussion is do while loop. Do while loop. Do while loop is also similar to the while loop, but there is a little difference between the do while loop and a while loop. Do while loop. If I talk about the while loop, so in case of while loop, we basically the syntax of the while loop is like while, and we basically are having a condition, and then we are writing the code inside the while block. And until and unless this condition become false, while loop always execute. But in case of do while loop, the only change is like it is a do while. In case of do while loop, the syntax says first you need to write do, then you will write the code body of loop, body of loop, and after that you are going to check the condition. While and after that you are going to check the condition. In case of while loop, if this condition become false in the first iteration, then the body of the while loop will not execute. Okay. But in case of do while loop, the do while loop says that I will iterate, I will basically execute the body of the do for the first time without checking the condition. So for the first iteration, the condition will not be checked. Condition will not be checked. In do while loop, for the first iteration, the condition will not be checked, and whatever we are executing, whatever we are writing inside the body of the do, uh, those all statement will be executed without checking the condition for the first time. But after in the second iteration, the condition will be checked. If this condition is true, then if this condition is true, then again it will execute the do the body of the do, and then again it will check the condition. But in case of while loop, if the condition is false for the first time, the while loop will not execute even in the first iteration. This is the basic difference, that in case of do while loop, in the first iteration it will not check for any condition, it will simply execute the statement written inside the do, and then after that it is going to check the condition which is written inside the while. So this is called as a do while statement. Let's understand the flow chart. Flow chart says that first, this is do while loop body, do while loop. This is the body of the do while loop statement. First, the execution will start. Execution will start. First, the body of the do while loop will be executed. Whatever the statement we are writing inside the do, that will be executed. And after that, it is going to check for the condition. After that, test condition. After that, it is going to test the condition, and now it is going to decide whether to execute that particular loop again or not based on this condition. If this condition is true, in that case, the body of do will again execute if this condition is true. If in case this condition is not true, the execution will move outside the do while loop. This is the flow chart. In the first iteration, the body of the do while loop execute without checking the condition. After that, it is going to check the condition. If this condition is true, then do while loop will again execute. If this condition is false, in that case, the loop will terminate, or you can say loop will move to the further execution outside the body of the do while loop. So this is the flow chart. Flow chart. Now let's discuss about some practice questions on the do while loop. Do while dot cpp. Here we are simply going to execute the first program to display the number from 1 to 5. So here we are going to write a C++ program to print number from 1 to 5 using do while loop. So hashtag include iostream using namespace using namespace standard, then int main. After that, we are simply going to create a variable I, which is initially storing the value 1, that is of the integer type. Now we are going to write a do while loop, do while loop. Now do, and inside this, I am simply writing that I want to print whatever the values inside I, and then I want a line break. And after each iteration, I simply want to increase the value of I. It means I plus plus. And then I will write the while, and inside while I will check the condition I is less than equal to 5 or not. I simply want to execute the loop until and unless this condition will become false. Until and unless this condition will become false, I simply want to execute this particular loop. Let's execute this program. So the program is getting executed and we are getting the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's understand this. Let's understand this. In the first iteration, it will not check for any kind of condition. In first iteration, it is not going to check for any condition. So here we are writing the iteration in the variable and I less than equal to 5 and then action. In first iteration, obviously the value of I is 1. So in first iteration, there will be simply, it will simply, the value of I is 1 because we have initialized the value of I is 1 in first iteration. And then the condition will not check. This condition will not be checked, not checked. In action, it will simply print the value of I. That means 1 will be printed without checking the condition. This will execute first for first time. This thing will be execute without checking the condition. So the I will be printed and the value of I will become 2. I will print it and I will become 2 because of this line number 10. So 1 is printed because the initial value of I was 1. So 1 is printed. Now the value of I has become 2. Now in second iteration means it will check for this condition. It will check for this condition. Okay, it will check like the value of I is 1. So it will check 1 is less than equal to 5 or not. So this condition is 2. 1 is less than equal to 5. So again the execution will move to the do loop. Again this body will be executed, but this time the value of I is 2. The value of I is 2. So the value of I is 2. It will check for this condition. It will check for this condition. The condition is 2. The condition is 2. It will print 2. The first iteration is printed 1. Now it printed 2. In third iteration, and the value of I will become 3. The value of I will become 3. In third iteration, the value of I is 3. Then the condition will true. Condition will be true because it is checking p is less than equal to 5 or not. So condition is true. So the 3 will be printed and the value of I will become 4. I will become 4. In fourth iteration, the value of I is 4 and the condition will be true because 4 is less than 5. So the condition is true. Again, the execution will move to the line number 8 and it will print 4. It will print 4 and after that it will increase the value of I. That means I will become 5. I will become 5 because of this condition I plus plus. In fact, fifth iteration, it will check for this condition. 5 is less than equal to 5 or not. 5 is not less than, but it is equal to 5. So the second condition is becoming true. So I will become 5 in this iteration. The condition is still true. It will print 5 on my output screen and it will increase the value of I. It will increase the value of I due to the line number 10. I will become 6. I will become 6. Now in this iteration, in the sixth iteration, the value of I is 6. It will check for this condition 6 is less than equal to 5 or not. Obviously the 6 is not less than equal to 5, so the condition will become false. This condition will become false, and once this condition will become false, the execution of the do while loop will stop and we will move outside the do while loop. Okay, so in this case this is the false, so it is not going to execute the do while loop. So it will basically stop the execution of the do while loop and all these numbers will be printed on my output string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was the concept. Basically in first iteration it is not checking for any kind of condition, but in the further iterations from the second iteration it is checking for the condition and it is executing the program accordingly. This was about do while loop. Let's do some practice questions. Now the second question I want to print the hello world 5 times on my output screen. I want to print moment close this. Let me reopen the VS Code. And here I'm simply want I'm commenting all this. Now the second program we are going to write is to print the hello world 5 times. Print the hello world 5 times. 5 times. So first I am creating a variable that is a count variable which is initially storing 0. Now I am using a do while loop. Inside this I am simply printing cout, and then I am printing hello, and then I want a line break. After that, after each iteration, I am simply increasing the value of count plus plus, count plus plus, and after that I am writing the while for checking the condition. That while I am checking until and unless count is less than 5, I simply want to execute the while loop. This thing is also same that we have discussed in the last example. It is simply going to check for first. It is going to print the hello without checking the condition, and after that it is going to check for this condition, that is count is less than 5. Let's execute this. Okay, we missed the semicolon over here. Now let's execute this. Execute this again. So we are getting hello 5 times. If I will check, if I will basically change this condition from 5 to 10, so it will print the hello 10 times. Going to print the hello 10 times. Okay, so in this way you can print hello multiple times. This was about while loop. Let's do one more practice question. And then now next question, we simply want print the sum of numbers from 1 to n. N is the value provided by the user. So basically we want the sum of all the numbers from 1 to the value provided by the user. So for this, I'm creating a variable n. Then I'm also creating a variable sum which is initially storing the 0 value, and then I'm creating a value I which is initially storing the value 1, and all are of integer type. Then I'm writing a print statement, then enter the positive value, enter the positive value. I want a line break, then cin. I want to take the input from the user for the n variable. I'm taking this value from the user. Then I'm executing the do while loop. Inside do body, I'm simply doing sum equal to sum plus I. Sum plus I means in each iteration I'm simply adding the value of I. So in first iteration the value of I is 1, the value of sum is 0. So in first iteration the value of sum will become 1 because it will add sum plus I. Sum is 0, I is 1, so the value of sum will become 1 in first iteration. And after that I'm simply increasing the value of I in each iteration. Inside while I'm checking while until and unless I is less than equal to n or not. Let's save this. Let's execute this program. So it is asking me for the positive value. I provided the value as 3. Now clicking enter. Okay, we forget to print the sum variable. We also need to print the out sum. Then enter the positive value. I am entering 3. So we got the sum as 6. Let's understand this. So let's understand by each iteration. Initially, I declared the sum as 0, I as 1. Then after that, I asked the user to provide the value of n. Until this thing, everything is cleared. Now, coming to the do while execution. In first iteration, the value of sum will become 1. Reason? this sum I have executed a line sum equal to sum plus I. So initially the sum is zero, and the value of I is initial one. So the sum will become one. Sum will become one, and the I will become two because of this line. Line number 28. Initially I is one. In 28 line, I am doing the I plus plus. That means I will become two. Now it is going to, now it is going to check for this condition. I is less than equal to n or not. So two is obviously that it is going to check for this condition. Two is less than equal to n. N means three. I provided three. Two is less than equal to three or not? Yes, two is less than equal to three. So this do while loop will execute again. Now the sum is storing one. So new value of sum will be one because sum is storing one, and the value of I this time is two. I this time is two. So the sum will become three. Sum will become three in second iteration, and the value of I will become three because of this line number 28. In third iteration, it will check for this condition. 3 is less than 3 or not, because value of I is 3 in the third iteration. So it is going to check for this condition. 3 is less than equal to 3 or not? Yes, 3 is less than equal to 3. So the sum will become sum equal to the previous value of sum is 3. Now the value of I for this iteration is 3. So the sum will become 6. Sum will become 6 in third iteration, and after that it is going to increase the value of I. The value will become 4. Value will become 4. Now when it comes to the fourth iteration, in that particular case, it will check for this condition. 4 is less than equal to 3 or not. So this condition will become false. So since this condition will become false, so the execution of the do while loop will stop. Execution of the do while loop will stop, and it will come to the line number 30. And line number 30 is simply printing the sum. So the sum was 6. So we are getting the output as 6. In this way, this program is getting executed. So this was about the do while loop. In this video, we discussed about the concept of do while loop, what is the difference between the while loop and the do while loop, and along with that, we had done the multiple practice questions.